Focus on entry 39 of this book. It runs from page 132 to 133. So guys, I really appreciate your presence on my channel. I also appreciate that most of you are watching and giving feedback that is positive. And I also appreciate for those who can add some other aspects I might not have actually caught up with them while reading. You know, most times I do the reading and immediately I do the analysis. So there is possibility that some of the styles or themes or character traits or even reflection might actually slip off my mind. Otherwise, I really appreciate your presence, because anytime you're making content, you expect people would watch. If they don't watch, then it will become irrelevant and invalid, all right? So as I prepare for the journey in the evening back to upcountry, let me do this analysis of entry 39. And that is between page 132 and 133. I also welcome other people, possibly undergraduate student, postgraduate student in literature and linguistics, because I have some ideas we can actually focus on and build. And there is some other things I'm focusing to do, I'll be sharing with you. So let's look at this entry which Kombani wrote on 11th July 2020. And it begins, Dear Mama, the past few weeks have witnessed increased activity in Singapore's political scene. Elections took place yesterday and the results have been announced today. Singapore's election process differs significantly from Kenya's. In Singapore, events in the political sphere do not disrupt normal business and daily activities, unlike in Kenya, where life comes to a standstill during campaigns. Talking about Kenya, 4 days ago, I welcomed the news that domestic flights had reopened. It will only be a matter of time until international flights follow suit. President Uhuru, while extending the nationwide curfew, lifted the movement restrictions in and out of Nairobi and Mombasa. Slow progress, but progress nevertheless. Meanwhile, at the bank, we celebrated the second edition of our Global Learning Week. In 2010, I saw an opportunity advertised in our international job search platform, team leader, branch sales, SME unit, and it piqued my interest. I sought my audience with the general manager, Ben Mukalama, who told me that I would make a good candidate. We are looking for someone to work in the head office, overseeing a team of business financial consultants across various branches. Knowledge of SME banking products is essential, as is experience in team management. I will apply. I felt heartened. I had come to love SME banking. I've come to love SME banking. He wished me well with the application. After a series of interviews, I transitioned from the branch to the head office to embark on the new role. However, the first few months were quite challenging. While I was accustomed to account opening, lending products proved much more difficult. As part of my role, I would not need to go around our branches, creating awareness on the products and training colleagues on the application process. I engaged Julius to give me tips on facilitating the training. I had taken a lot of tips from his relationship selling course and attended his impactful facilitation training and was quite comfortable when I hit the road. There is immense power in storytelling, Julius advised. It allows your audience to resonate with you on a different level. Meanwhile, our plastic ID card business was picking up. We had several schools and companies in our portfolio, and we hired 2 employees to produce the cards. Our big break came when we spotted a tender advertisement to supply member ID cards for the Dairy Farmers Cooperative Society with a strong membership of 20,000. Toward the end of the year, I saw an advertisement in the newspapers calling for submissions to the Enablis Business Launchpad competition. It was a national competition aimed at promoting small businesses by helping entrepreneurs enhance their business skills. All that was needed was a business plan. I was going to apply. Your loving son, Kombani. So, scholars, students, and fellow teachers, here, the reflection focuses on elections that are quite different in Singapore compared to Kenya. They results are announced just after a day, and the business had to happen as normal. We also see the reopening of the flights, domestic, hence giving hope for international. Now, the other reflection is that Kombani applies for the team leader branch sales SME unit position, and when advised by Mukalama to do so, he is selected and relocated to the main head office to oversee this section. He meets his challenges, but he's ready to overcome. He also talks about ID business picking up. Now let's go back to synopsis. The first section of the entry actually tells us about what Kombani witnesses in the political scene of Singapore. Elections happen like today, and tomorrow the results are announced. He realizes that this is cinematic compared to Kenya, where there will be fracas, where daily activities and business will be disrupted, and everything will become, will come to a standstill. We also realize that Kenya has had its domestic flights reopening, and even though President Uhuru is extending a curfew, he is lifting some movement restrictions in and out of Mombasa and Nairobi. Later on, we see that at the bank, Kombani and his allies, or rather workmates, celebrate the second edition of their Global Learning Week. Now, he takes us to 2010 when he sees an opportunity advertised in the internal job search platform. They are seeking for a team leader, branch sales SME unit, and he's interested, so he goes to talk to the general manager, Ben Mukalama, who advises him to apply. He says he actually loves now the aspect of SME banking, and that's why he wants to get to this. Of course, Mukalama tells him that they are looking for someone to work in the head office and oversee business financial consultations or consultants over the branches. Now, after applying, Kombani gets this position and he's moved from Moi branch to head office, and he begins to handle the new roles. Of course, he meets some challenges because previously he was dealing with account opening, lending products that had been a bit challenging, but he had overcome. Now, in this position, he is supposed to go around different branches, create awareness on products, train colleagues on application processes, and so forth. So he learns from Julius. I hope you remember Julius we talked of before, the one who had held a course of relationship selling for them and impactful facilitation. So Kombani recalls that through his training, he had told them that they should use storytelling, and that becomes part of his tool. Now, he also tells us that his plastic ID card business is running well, and several schools and companies are now on their back to need it. Of course, he also tells us that there was a tender supply required by a dairy farmer cooperative society where they wanted 20,000 cards worth 20,000. So he manages to get the deal. He goes further to tell us that there is an enablers business launchpad competition allowing entrepreneurs to actually show their business skills, and he applies. So when we come to character and characterization, colleagues and students, we begin with Kombani. Of course, obviously, if you've been watching me for the longest time possible, you know that we start with Kombani as loving because you are loving son Kombani. Guys, if up to this point you've not subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for. Please subscribe to support our work because we use bundles. And the more you subscribe, the more you are supporting us and helping us to actually keep doing what we love, okay? So keep subscribing, keep liking, sharing, and dropping comments as well is part of what enhances YouTube growth. Thank you, guys. So let's proceed to other character traits of Kombani. Apart from loving, we realize that Kombani is very observant. He notices the clear difference between campaigns, or rather elections, in Singapore versus Kenya, saying that in Kenya, things came to a standstill, business and daily activities would be disrupted. In Singapore, the situation is different. Elections are announced a day after and business runs as normal. We also see him as hopeful because he tells us that after Kenya opened the domestic flights, he knew that very soon international flights would also be opened. And even though slow progress was being seen in the curfew restrictions and movement restrictions, he hoped that very soon everything will be open. We notice that Kombani is focused or determined. When he sees an opportunity advertised in the international job search platform for team leader branch sales SME unit, he quickly goes to consult with the general manager Ben Mkalama and applies. And indeed, he secures the job. He is also determined and hardworking because once he gets into this position, he begins going about the branches, creating awareness and training colleagues using ideas of Julius, who had run a course of relationship selling and impactful facilitation, through which he knew he should use stories to create platform. We also see he's hardworking because his plastic ID card business is peaking and he is acquiring deals from schools, companies, one of which is a farmers cooperative society that he is able to secure a deal of 20,000 shillings. He is also determined because when he sees an advertisement in a newspaper calling for submissions to Enablis Business Launchpad competition, he quickly takes this deal and does the application. So those are character traits for Kombani. I don't think there is another character we can talk about apart from maybe Ben Mkalama. We can say he's supportive. He encourages Kombani to apply for this position. Some of the bosses in workplaces may not encourage you to do so. And even seeing that Kombani had to go consult him, he must be a very sociable and impactful person, or else sometimes these bosses, if they are not impactful to you, you will not even tell them about these things when you are applying. Now let's get to themes, colleagues and students. We of course see the first theme is political election, of course happening in Singapore. Then we can see change because now in Kenya, domestic flights have been reopened, unlike in past where they were not flowing. The curfew and movement restrictions are being lifted slowly. Now people can move in and out of Mombasa and Nairobi. We also see success because Kombani tells us at the bank they were celebrating the second edition of their Global Learning Week. Another success comes when Kombani applies for the International Job Team Leader Branch Sales SME unit and secures it. We see some sort of education. Kombani informs us that he had learned through the relationship selling course and impactful facilitation training that he needs to use storytelling as a way to resonate with the audience. All right? Yeah, so we see education right there. We see entrepreneurship because Kombani tells us that he had applied or rather submitted something to Enablis Business Launchpad competition, and also his plastic ID card business was picking up. They were having several schools and companies coming for them, and they had hired 2 employees to help them produce cards, and as well, Dairy Farmers Cooperative Society had actually given them a deal of worth 20,000 shillings. Now let's finish with stylistic devices. Here the first one is epistolary mode, Dear Mama, ending with your loving son. The second style is contrast. We can have it as juxtaposition. Whereas we are having a contrast of Singapore, political scene, elections take place yesterday and results are announced today. Unlike Kenya where they take so long before announcing. Singapore election also is seen as very friendly or rather safe because business and daily activities continue, while in Kenya, life comes to a standstill during campaigns and election. We can also see another contrast which Kombani shows that in Kenya 4 days ago, now they had domestic flights reopening, unlike in past where they were not. We also see that President Uhuru had lifted some movement restrictions in and out of Mombasa and Nairobi, unlike in past where people were not allowed to move in and out. We see a dialogue. We are looking for someone to work in the head office overseeing a team of business financial consultants across various branches. Knowledge of SME banking products is essential, as is experience in team management. Kombani says, I will apply. I have come to love SME banking. So that is a dialogue from page 132 to 133. We have also direct address page 133, and it's also coming as flashback, where Kombani recalls Julius advising in the seminar. There is immense power in storytelling. It allows your audience to resonate with you on a different level. We also see some sort of flashback, whereby the entire entries, the two. The first one, I think it's the second part, flashback. Kombani takes us back to 2010, where he applied for international job search on an international job search platform, team leader, branch sales, SME unit, and secured the position, then moved from the branch to head office. He also tells us about the business ID card, a plastic ID card business, and how it was peaking, how they were now getting contracts with schools, companies, and then how they secured a contract with Daily Farmers Cooperative Society worth 20,000 shillings. The other flashback is about how he submitted an application or a proposal to Enablis business launchpad competition. I kind of saw some idiomatic expression somewhere. I think coming to a standstill is also even a kind of idiomatic expression on page 132. Then another one was coming on page 133. Let me just find out. I hit the road. That's an idiomatic expression. Hit the road is to start. Okay? So unless there is something I've forgotten, let's end here. Bye-bye. Love you guys. Keep watching, keep subscribing, keep following, keep sharing, keep dropping comments. Otherwise, we'll meet later in entry 40. Have a good day.